Welcome back to my channel. I'm Joe with Smokin Joe's Pit BBQ. On today's video, I'm going to be making one of my all-time favorite Chinese dishes, Char Siu pork, but with a barbecue twist. We're going to be making some Char Siu smoked ribs. Stay tuned. All right, let's get started on this Char Siu video, or Char Siu if you want to pronounce it correctly. I've got a full rack of spare ribs here. Just gonna take it out of the package here. All right, so I'm gonna trim up these full spares down just a little bit. I'm gonna take out this breastbone right here. And do not throw this away because there's a ton of meat on here. Then I'm simply gonna round out these ribs. Pretty simple process. I'm also going to take out the smaller bones from this rack. And on this other side, this small flat meat right here, along with the last bone. Just square them off. I'm going to go ahead and pull the membrane off because we are going to marinate these ribs overnight, and I want that marinade to really work its way through every ounce of meat on this rack of ribs. Now, Char Siu pork is one of my favorite things to eat at a Chinese restaurant. No matter what I go for, I always have to order a side of the Char Siu pork. I love the flavor of it, kind of a sweet, tangy, but savory pork. And it's really bright red, and that's going to be in our marinade, okay? Now you have options when it comes to making your Char Siu marinade. You can make it from scratch. They also sell the marinade like in a seasoning packet where all you do is add water. But lucky for me, I went to my Chinese market today and I found a container some Char Siu marinade that's got all the ingredients that I was gonna buy. It would have cost me about 35 bucks to buy everything separate. This jar cost me $7, so I saved quite a bit of money. And again, it has all of the ingredients that goes into the Char Siu marinade. I'm also gonna remove the skirt from this rack. There you go, that looks beautiful right there. Take a look at the top side. That looks absolutely beautiful. All right, so let's put our marinade together. Now this is the marinade that I found, and it's got almost all of the ingredients I'm gonna need for a Char Siu pork. I will try to find this online, and if I do, I will leave a link down inside the description box so you guys can grab yourself one of these jars. Now the other option, as I mentioned earlier, this is a very popular marinade to use. It comes out of the packet. All you gotta do is add water. A lot of Chinese restaurants use this marinade right here. But today I opted for the jar, and again, as I mentioned, you can make this from scratch if you wanted to. Some of the ingredients, if you were to make this manually, are fermented soybeans, soy sauce, honey, wine, etc. All of that is inside of this jar. But one thing I noticed, if you look at this, it's not quite red, okay? So I'm gonna add some food coloring to turn this a really nice bright red, because traditional Char Siu pork is extremely bright red. The other thing I didn't read in the ingredients list is some Chinese 5-spice. So I've got a little bit of Chinese 5-spice right here. Gonna add maybe a quarter of a teaspoon, along with a couple of drops of red food coloring. Now this is an all-natural food coloring, so don't freak out. Now I did read an article online that the FDA did say that nothing is wrong with eating or consuming food coloring, so it's perfectly fine. All right, you can see our marinade's got a nice reddish color now. Check that out, and that's what you want. All right, so I've got my rack of spare ribs. I'm just gonna drizzle some of this Char Siu marinade over the top of these ribs. You wanna add enough because this is gonna sit overnight in the fridge for about 12 hours. It's time to get your hands dirty. And you want to wear gloves, if not, you're going to walk around with red hands for about 2 weeks. And nobody wants that. A little bit more marinade. Smells so good. I got to tell you, one of my favorite things to eat, as I mentioned again, was that Char Siu over some white rice. Oh man, that's some good stuff. All right, let's do the top side. Rub that marinade in. All right, I'm gonna cover these ribs with some saran wrap. I'm gonna pop it in my fridge for about 12 hours, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay tuned. All right, and just like that, it's the very next day. The ribs have been marinating for 12 hours. Let's take a look at them. Well, they smell amazing, number one. And they did take on a little bit redder color. Looks like some liquid got extracted from the ribs as well. So I'm not gonna be adding any spice to this. I've got my Yoder YS640 running at 275 degrees. I'll see you guys outside. All right, so I've got my Yoder YS640 pellet smoker running at 275 degrees. And by the way, I am using the Smokin Pecan pellets, which is a 100% pecan shell pellets, which means that no trees have to be chopped down in order to produce these pellets. If you guys have never tried them, I highly recommend you give them a shot and check out the amount of smoke that these pellets release. Look at that. And that's consistent throughout the entire cook. All right, so I'm going to be placing these ribs on the top rack, right smack in the middle. I'm going to push them together. Pushing them together is going to make sure that the ribs cook evenly, and it's going to give you a nice thick rib as well. All right, so I'm going to cook these for 2 hours at 275 degrees, and I'll bring you guys right back. All right, so we are at the 2-hour mark, again at 275 degrees. Let's take a look at our Char Siu ribs. Looking nice. Well, there's not a whole lot of bark. Obviously, we didn't add any seasoning. And traditional Char Siu is roasted, so that's essentially what we're trying to do. So next, I'm gonna wrap these ribs in some foil. All right, so I'm gonna apply a light layer of our Char Siu marinade before I wrap these ribs. I'm gonna save some to apply after I unwrap them as well. This marinade smells absolutely amazing. It's no longer marinated, it's more of a glaze right now. All right, next I'm just gonna wrap these up in the foil. Gonna place them back inside the smoker for another 1.5 hours, and I'll bring you guys right back. All right, so 1 hour later, total cook time of 3 hours. Let's take a look at our ribs. All right, so let's open up this foil, see what we got. Oh yeah, nice and steamy. So all I'm gonna do now is boat up these ribs. So simply fold the foil in towards the rack. Got some really nice pullback on these bones. I'm gonna apply the last bit of marinade or glaze. I'm also going to top these ribs with a little bit of sesame seed. Look at that. Does that look delicious or what? I'm going to slide the shelf back in, let these cook for another 30 minutes, and we'll see you guys inside. Stay tuned. All right, so the ribs are ready and they cooked for an additional hour, so a total cook time of 4 hours, and these ribs are fantastic. Check that out. Looks amazing, it smells absolutely delicious. We place these on the cutting board here. So the glaze did firm up a little bit, not as hard as a candy apple, but it did firm up. It's not liquidy, if you will. So I normally turn the ribs upside down to slice them, but I don't want to ruin the appearance of these ribs. So I'm going to try to slice right into the bones. Now remember that we did squish these ribs together And usually the meat will rise in the center, which means right around here is all meat that should be right in between the bone. Hopefully this bone doesn't curve too much. There you go, perfect. Now there's bone right here where it's kind of indented, then it's raised right here again. So I'm gonna find this bone, just like that. Now you wanna do the same thing for the rest of the ribs. Again, you can see an indentation, that's where the bone's at. Where the raised part is at, that's where the meat is at, okay? So try to find the center. And sometimes these bones do curve. Man, these are juicy. Now the internal temperature of these ribs was 188 degrees when I pulled them. I don't want them completely fall off the bone. All right, I'm gonna grab this rib right here. Check that bad boy out. Amazing smoke ring, nice red color that I love to see in Char Siu pork. Yeah, buddy. I'm gonna serve up a plate with some white rice and I'll bring you guys right back. All right, so I've got myself a nice plate of some jasmine rice. I'm gonna grab a few of these bones right here. Look at that. Man, these are feeling nice and tender. My mouth is watering. So last but not least, I'm gonna top these ribs off with some green onions. Oh yes. All right, let's give these Char Siu ribs a try. All right, let's try out these Char Siu smoked ribs. Check that out. Does that look delicious or what? Yeah, buddy. Good smoke ring. I can already tell you these are gonna be good. Super tender. Here we go. Man, this is so good. That 5 spice is definitely coming through. Absolutely delicious. It's not 100% fall off the bone, just the way I like them. I'm definitely doing this again. Let's try this jasmine rice. Still nice and steamy. I gotta tell you that jasmine rice and that freshly smoked spare rib pair perfectly. So check out that smoke ring on these ribs. Those smoking pecan pellets, 100% pecan shell pellets, leave an amazing smoke ring on anything that I smoke. So you guys saw the amount of smoke that was coming out of my Yoder Y640 pellet smoker, and that has contributed to these smoking pecan pellets. These are 100% pecan shell, and if you guys have not tried them, check out the link below and order yourself a few of these bags. So Smokin Pecan is going to be switching to a different package. They're going to be shipping out their pellets in a box here in the very near future. So you guys might get a bag or you might get a box. So just a reminder that Smokin Pecan Pellets does not use any binders on their pellets. So you will get a little bit of ash inside of your bag or your box, but don't worry about it. I throw that inside of my hopper and it falls inside the fire pot and burns perfectly. I hope you guys enjoyed this Asian inspired rib video. If this is your first time to my channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Until next time, Joe with Smokin Joe's Pit BBQ. See ya. I'm gonna get me another bite. Look at that.